Good afternoon and welcome to the Senior Scene. Today we're fortunate to have Captain Jason Ebacher from the Essex County Sheriff's Department with us, and I am Laura Mailman, for those of you who may not know who I am. I thank you so much, Jason, for joining
You're
us
welcome.
today.
You're
We've
welcome.
known each other for quite some time. You brought Triad as part of the Essex County Sheriff's Department initiative to reach out to the senior population for safety and other good things like that, working with the local law department and fire department and people within the town as well, such as myself as the senior center director. But before we get into that, I thought it'd be fun to get to know you a little bit more. You grew up in Amesbury.
Correct.
And do you still live there?
No, I live in North Andover now, my wife and 2 kids. I've been in North Andover now for, I'd say about 12 years now. And been with the Sheriff's Department now, it'll be 16 years come this September. And in addition to that, I'm also an attorney as well. I have a practice in North Andover, and I teach at a local college as well.
And I forgot to mention, you're also an assistant superintendent with the
Correct.
County Sheriff's Department.
Correct.
That's wonderful. Is this something you were always interested in doing? How did you get involved in this sort of thing?
Well, I've always been interested in law enforcement. When I was in college, I went to Endicott College in Beverly, Massachusetts. When I was in college, I attended a career fair, and they had a table there from the Essex County Sheriff's Department. So I got all the information, I applied, and one thing led to another. I was fortunate enough to get hired, and I've been there ever since.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Sheriff's Department? I think some people may just assume the only thing that it is a jail.
Well, the biggest function for the Essex County Sheriff's Department is the supervision of inmates. We have approximately 1,300 inmates incarcerated in our facility in Middleton, Massachusetts. We have 2 types of inmates. We have pretrial inmates, so those are the inmates that are awaiting trial. And we have sentenced inmates, those are the inmates that have been found guilty and been sentenced, and now they're serving time in our facility. The maximum that an inmate can serve at our facility is 2.5 years.
So it's short term.
Yes.
So is that the difference between a jail and a prison, for instance, is the length of time you might be there?
Yes, yes. And we have all kinds of offenders at our facilities, and the same that you would have at the the state penitentiaries, the Walpoles, the Concords, the Shirleys here in Massachusetts. So they just come to us first. So it's like a little city up there in Middleton, and we have several other facilities as well. We have our Correctional Alternative Center, which is in Lawrence, right off of 495. We call it the Farm. That's a minimum security facility, and those are for the inmates that are towards the end of their sentence, and they're actually able to go out and do some community service, and then eventually actually go out and work in the community. That's our way of reintegrating them back into society. That's a big goal that my boss, Sheriff Frank Cousins, has in regards to the inmates. He doesn't believe in just throwing away locking an inmate up and throwing away the key. He believes on rehabilitation. That's our job, is rehabilitate the inmates and also to reintegrate them back into society. We also have a women's facility in Salisbury, Massachusetts, and that's a minimum security facility for our women inmates that are Essex County inmates. And then we have a lot of other smaller departments. We have Office of Community Corrections. We have one in Salisbury, we have one in Lynn and one in Lawrence. Those for the inmates that are out already living in the public, with their electronic monitoring. They have to do drug counseling. And those are the main departments of our
Now, I've been fortunate enough to be able to go up, not to the prison itself or the jail, but to the actual offices, and there's the canine unit there. Can you tell me a little bit about that and when that was brought to the Sheriff's Department? Do you know how many years?
Well, I know the canine was there before I started. I started in September of 1997, and they were there before I started. Right now we have approximately 17 dogs that work inside and outside of the facility. Not only are they used for security, but they're also, they can search for drugs, and track missing people, missing children. They do a lot of work outside of the department with local communities, whether, like I said, whether it's a lost child or, you know, drug sniffing dogs, or, you know, departments and local police departments pull somebody over. So we do a lot of work, and we have one of the biggest canine units in the state.
Well, I'm always amazed whenever you bring the dogs for a demonstration. We've been fortunate enough to be able to have them come to some of our triad events for the seniors, and it truly is amazing to watch these dogs work. They're so intelligent, and most of them are regular German Shepherds, but you also have a Belgian Shepherd. And
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure the different breeds that we have, but I know that we have one lab, and I think that one's for drug sniffing. But most of them are German Shepherds.
I was also surprised to learn that the person in charge of all of the dogs is the tiniest woman. I can't even imagine that she's the person in charge of that unit, but she does an amazing job.
Yeah, Lieutenant Karen, she does a great job. She's actually a lieutenant within the unit. The overall supervisor of that unit is Captain Shane Ehlers, who does an excellent job. But she works very closely with the captain, and she does an outstanding job.
Yeah, she's amazing. We do have that opportunity to bring the dogs to do demonstrations. We generally do those at least once a year, sometimes twice when we're able to do so. So if you ever see that we're going to have a demonstration, you definitely want to be there. I was surprised to learn that they are mostly coming from overseas.
Yes, yes. I believe Germany, they get a lot of their dogs that we use, and eventually they get shipped, and I believe it's either upstate, in Buffalo actually, I believe. And that's where we usually pick up our dogs, yeah.
Wow, that's, to me, of course, being an animal lover, I could talk forever about those, but in any event, one of the other things that I was really surprised with in part of the demonstration was how little amount of drug or a firearm, and they were able to discover it with absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It made me a little nervous.
They do. They do a great
Since they
job.
put it on me.
No, they
But,
do a great job.
Yeah, thank you. So what I'd really like to talk about, though, is how it was that we actually met, and that was to bring Triad to Merrimac. There are how many towns, cities and towns in the Essex County Sheriff's Department?
There's 34 cities and towns in Essex County, and we're currently working with 32 of them right now.
Wonderful. I just think this is a wonderful opportunity for the pooling of resources and bringing different groups together. I know that we've had quite a bit of success right here in Merrimac as a result. Tell me, what is Triad, for those that may not know?
Well, Triad is a national program, and it was started, I believe, in the 1980s. And my boss, Sheriff Frank Cousin, and District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett, they brought this program to Essex County in the year 2000. And what Triad is, it's not an acronym for anything. It just means seniors, law enforcement, and senior service providers working together to provide safety and awareness programs for seniors, which means that I work closely with the local police department, fire department, council on aging, and seniors themselves. The goal is to empower the seniors to run their own individual triad in each community. They run the program. We just act as advisors. And the goal is to find out what are the needs of their community, what type of security or safety programs do we need to do in each community. And they run it, and like I said, we act as advisors. Now, some of the popular programs that we do a senior ID program, which is an ID machine that was purchased by Sheriff Cousins back, I want to say, in 2006. And we can bring it to community all over the county. And we provide seniors with a secondary form of identification. It's free. There's no cost associated to any of the programs we do with Triad. And we always encourage seniors to have some secondary form of ID because you never know when you're going to be asked for two forms of identification.
With a picture on it.
With a picture on it. And it's actually somewhat just like my ID here, minus the star, but it's the same format. And so that's been that's probably our most popular program in the county. We also do a File of Life program. File of Life is basically you take a magnet, you put it on your refrigerator, and inside there's a pouch, and there's a card that you can put all your medical information on there. And that signifies to emergency responders, police, fire, ambulance, that your medical information is in your glove compartment. Excuse me.
On the refrigerator.
On the refrigerator.
The yellow dot.
The yellow dot program, excuse me, the yellow dot program is meant for the car, and that's a yellow sticker you put in the back window of your car, and that signifies to emergency responders that your medical information is in your glove compartment. Those are some of the big programs that we do. We do a lot of smaller programs such as
Is Your Number Up?
Is Your Number Up, which is a house numbering initiative. It is a state law that you have to have your house number visible from the street, but it's very vague. Most communities have a more specific town or city ordinance. So we encourage seniors, we encourage anybody to make sure they have their house number visible from the street because it's so important because in an emergency situation, you want those emergency responders there as soon as
quickly,
possible.
Right.
So-
Yeah, we actually have noticed ourselves how easy it is not to be able to see some of the street numbers. Since as you drive down some of the streets, and they're trying to find it, some may be on the house, some may be on a rock. They don't realize that the numbers have been camouflaged by grass or something else, and the number just isn't there. And when you're hoping somebody gets there as quickly as possible,
Yes.
that can definitely slow the time down. So
Absolutely.
that's been one of the initiatives that we've been working on, as well as the fire department.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
been trying to do that. So make sure your number is up.
Yeah, and some of the other programs we've done, we're doing now the hot topic right now is senior bullying. When people think of bullying,
It's
they think
true.
of kids, but it does occur in the senior population. So we've been doing a lot of talks on that. We had our conference last fall was all on senior bullying. We had an expert come down and she gave a great talk.
It was
And
excellent.
yeah, and she's nice enough to let us use her materials, and myself and my partners, Mo Pratt also from the Sheriff's Department and John Russell from the Sheriff's Department, she's allowed us to use her materials and actually start to give talks throughout the county. And it's been very popular.
That's great. I know it's something that we're trying to also make people aware of through our newsletter and at the senior center. Sometimes the reason for the bullying is that someone is going through a dementia or something like that, which if that is the case, we can address it in a different manner. But just bullying for the sake of bullying is something that we have zero tolerance for.
Of course.
But, we want everyone to be safe, just like, schools want
Yep.
safety, and it's the same whether you're in a nursing home or any place else that you may reside. And bullies grow up to be older bullies, unfortunately, for whatever reason.
I agree.
I brought with me also the 2013 calendar. This is something that you put out every year, and we really look forward to it because it refers to all of the different projects that you actually talk about, and some of them are new this year from years previous. But one of the things that I was really impressed with is just the safety, just general safety things, kitchen safety, things that, we tend to not think about. For instance, the kitchen safety curtains shouldn't be located near, where you might have them fall into a burner. And I know that a lot of older kitchens tended to have a window near where the stove was, so
Sure.
that would be something, or little things, little knickknacks that they put on the shelves just above the stove. So you should be really careful not to do that, and that sort of thing. So I was really pleased, particularly this year, to see some of those little safety items go. into the calendar this year. We do have these at the senior center if anybody wants one. Another program we have with a triad is the grab and go bags.
Yes.
And we're coming into the hurricane season. I know we're not over winter yet, but as soon as winter is over, we go right into the hurricane season.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, before I touch upon the grab and go, I just wanted to make a couple of comments on the calendar itself. This has been a great program that we started, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago, and we've put the calendar together, and like I said, it's free. We have a print shop at our facility that we're able to print these up at no cost to any of any of the communities or the seniors. This year, I got to give my partner credit, John Russell. He was the one that put this year's calendar together on home safety, and it's great stuff. And every month you open up and you have a different topic, and so it's great information. We've done calendars in the past on highlighting the different programs, as you said. I know I did one calendar one year about talking about the importance of having a power of attorney,
Yes.
and the importance of having healthcare proxy. So they've been very popular. As far as the grab and go program, that was a program that really was started in Marblehead and Danvers. And especially in Danvers was highlighted, I don't know what year it was, but they had that huge explosion
Yep.
in Danvers, maybe it might have been about 10 years ago perhaps. And that encouraged them to have some sort of a program that, if they had to get out of their house in an emergency situation quickly, they don't have time to go and grab all their medication, grab their glasses, grab anything that they think they
Insurance
might need.
information.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So the grab and go bag was basically created at that time, where you have a bag, and you basically put all the things that you think you'll need for a couple of days. It's not meant for 3 weeks. It's not meant for going on long trips. It's meant for a couple of days that you might have to be in a shelter. You have a toothbrush in there. You have your medication for a couple of days. You have your file of life card, maybe a bottle of water, your information as well, your insurance information. So that's another one of our bigger programs, and very popular throughout the county.
Yeah, it's been very popular at our senior center as well. And within that, we do provide a list of items that we suggest people put in their bag, a bottle of water, chapstick, a toothbrush, toothpaste, because if you do have to go to a shelter, it's the ones that would be in Merrimac, you'd only be in them a day or two at the most, and then you would go to a longer term shelter or someplace else. So you just need something, as you said, for a couple of days, but what will you need for those couple of days? That's what we
And
try to
everybody's
include.
different.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we try to give them a starting point,
Mhm.
give them a list of things that we recommend that you have in the bag. But like I said, everybody's different. Everybody needs different things.
Right.
So.
I need chocolate. Lots of chocolate.
But yeah, so that's another very popular program that we do. And we also go around and give talks, as I talked about the senior bullying. We give, and I mentioned it before, I go and give talks on, the importance of power of attorneys, having a power of attorney, having a healthcare proxy in place. We do identity theft talks. That's a hot topic.
Very.
Senior scams. I mean, we have, every day I get an email about a different scam that's out there. And these criminals prey on the senior population. And so there's so many scams out there, and so we give talks all the time on that. So the identity theft, the scams, the bullying, as I had mentioned before, and elder abuse is another big,
Yes.
and that's a big thing. Is people just, when they think of abuse, they just think of physical abuse. Well, you're talking psychological abuse, mental abuse as well. So, and neglect
And
is a huge
that's where
one.
the Triad also works with the district attorney's office
That's right.
to help bring in some of that information to the senior population. And although these programs are designed per se for the senior population, all of the information that is within this is pretty much for any age.
For anybody.
Because we are an intergenerational population, let's
Yeah.
face it. and having all of this information available to anybody, we would have it if you need it. So it doesn't matter the age. The other thing, when you're talking about the issues regarding scams, what would you say some of the scams are that are going around now?
The most popular one right now, I'd have to say, is the grandparent scam. Where
Still.
yeah, where the grandparent gets a phone call from allegedly their grandson or granddaughter's friend. And it says that, hey, your grandchild is in trouble. There may be I know one of them was the Canadian jail
Yeah.
scam. Your grandchild is locked up in a jail in Canada, and they need money to be able to get bailed out. Can you please send us $1,500 or $15,000? And I know a lot of seniors have fallen for that scam. So it's very scary. Like I said, you have a lot of contractors. They prey on seniors as well. It's just a very scary situation. It happens a lot.
What can seniors do when they get a phone call like this, or someone comes to their home and they're suspicious, but they don't know what to do? What should they?
I'd say call the police. Call the police. I mean, I know Chief Shears here in Merrimac does a fantastic job. I would call the police if you have any questions at all. I mean, I'm sure they'd be happy to help.
Before you spend the money,
Yeah.
double check.
Or even call you at the senior center.
Absolutely.
Especially if we're dealing with a senior citizen in Merrimac, call
We
the
do
senior
get many
center.
phone calls, letters. We encourage people to bring, if you receive a letter saying you've won money, just send $200 or $1,000, and
For the
the
taxes.
King of Siam is going to send you some money that you had won through a lottery that your name was drawn from.
And the biggest thing I always preach when I give these talks is, if it's too good to be true, it is. As you mentioned it, I mean, there's several out there. You've won $20,000. You need to send us $200 to pay for the fees for us to be able to ship the money over. They
Right.
send the $200 and they never see the $20,000. So, as I said before, I mean, if you have any questions, call the police department, call over the senior center. I know a lot of them are people will be companies will be calling, doing fundraisers for police, and a lot of them are legitimate. But the best people to call would be the police department if they're doing some sort of a fundraiser.
I always do that. If they're going to call and ask for money for the local fire department or the local police department, I just say outright, thank you very much for calling. I'll call our local department to find out what the story is,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
hang up.
exactly.
And it cannot be stressed enough that it doesn't hurt to stop and call someone
No.
to find out whether or not this is legitimate. If it's legitimate, you're not going to lose any money by waiting 5 minutes to call the police or to call the senior center to find out whether or not it's legitimate. The money will be there if it's legitimate.
If it's legitimate, they'll give you a return phone number to call after you check to see if it's legitimate or not. And then you can call back and you can donate. So,
Yep.
yeah, if it's not legitimate, they're not going to give you your contact information and they're going to hang up immediately.
And if they're pressuring you and getting nasty, that's another clue. They're not real.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know how, times are tough. People are always looking for, the rainbow at the end of the tunnel, but this can put people right into major problems. I've also heard about checks being sent and people deposit them, think they're legitimate, and then come to find out 2 weeks later, there's no
not.
cash there, and people are out of that money
Yeah.
because they've spent it already.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's
If-
happened quite a few times as well.
yeah.
Yeah, so.
Just coming into the summer season, what kind of scams can we expect to see?
Well, I think some of the ones that we've seen in the past, like the grandparent scam, anticipate to keep seeing that because they'll keep doing it as long as people keep falling for it. The basic scams that we see all the time, I don't really believe it changes with the season. Maybe it changes a little bit come Christmas time. People want to donate to a charity. So those are the times you want to be
Okay.
even more ask more questions as well.
I know that at one point there was some unscrupulous people going around claiming to repave the driveway
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. You have to be aware of,
Yep.
you know,
I've
people
had-
knocking on your door.
I have a little extra, you know,
Yeah.
to put on your driveway. You want me to touch it up? You know, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
They've come to my house before, yeah.
They thought you were a senior, did they?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's another big scam that's out there as well.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining us, and we hope to have you back again. I think this has been very informative, and we also have a Chief's Breakfast once a month. It's usually the fourth Thursday of the month,
Mhm.
and so we'll see you hopefully on Thursday. People are invited to join us on that day for a wonderful breakfast at 8:30, and we have usually a number of people, fire chief, the police chief, we've got different people coming from different departments in town. You often join us.
Yep.
Sometimes we've had the senator and representative join us, so
Mhm.
thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome, Laura.
Have a nice afternoon.
You too. You too.
And that's it for today.